Biker Dad is brought to you by UpstateBikerLawyer.com and Tom Schimmerling, founding member of the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Have you ever sat at your job and thought, what if I just got up and left? Tell that horrible boss to take this job and shove it. Have you ever wanted to just walk out? What about burnout? Well, that's exactly what I did, but I didn't just quit. I left my 25-year corporate career to ride motorcycles and tell your story. Daytona Beach, Florida, where you can actually drive onto the beach. Rick Fairless, a legend of his own, introduced me to Richard Rollins, Mayfield, Kentucky, Southeast Missouri, beautiful city of Knoxville, Tennessee, Gulf Coast of Mississippi, Florida coast and the Tampa Bay area, Orange County Choppers, Roadhouse and Museum, talking to Paul Tuttle Sr. himself. But make no mistake, this is not a show about motorcycles or even about me. Instead, I travel across the country to meet the people who use their passion for motorcycles to make their communities stronger, safer, and better. This is Biker Dad. My adventure begins on the beaches of Alabama in Gulf Shores. This will be my longest solo ride ever, taking me all the way to the Canadian border at Niagara Falls and a whole bunch of places in between. The first leg of the trip was actually the longest. It took me all the way from the beaches of Alabama through Birmingham, Huntsville, hit Nashville for a minute, all the way to Clarksville, Tennessee, nearly 500 miles. After dealing with a little mishap with my saddlebags, I made it to Sturgis, Kentucky on the western part of the state, partied there for a little while, then zipped all the way across the state to visit the Rattlesnake in eastern Kentucky. The Rattlesnake, and of course, I'm here so it's raining. But this is a great place to ride when it's not raining. After the Rattlesnake, I rode north in more rain to Ohio. Now the mission is to knock off 2 bucket list items in one day. Cleveland may not be the kind of place you want to visit, say, in February, but in the middle of the summer, I gotta tell you, Cleveland rocks. On the road, riding all the way from the beaches in Alabama to New York, and I realized this place is right along the way. I had to stop at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. One of the first things you see when you walk into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is this rock and roll motorcycle. It's the 1975 Super Trike built for Elvis Presley by Super Cycles of Memphis. With bucket list item 1 checked off, it is time to hammer down across the rest of Ohio, through a sliver of Pennsylvania, and then into New York, and to hit one of the great wonders of the world. The Biker Dad Show is spreading all over the country. We are now on the air in upstate New York on WBNG, and I'm riding up here to visit with UpstateBikerLawyer.com. And I took advantage of that to take a little side trip to this place, Niagara Falls. People like to troll me about not having rain gear all the time. Now I have some. This is one of the reasons I don't like to wear it. Bucket list. Check mark. Bucket list indeed. Niagara Falls is one of the world's most famous natural wonders. It's located on the Niagara River between the United States and Canada. It actually consists of 3 waterfalls. Horseshoe Falls, American Falls, and Bridal Veil Falls. Horseshoe is also known as Canadian Falls and is the largest of the 3 falls and spans the border between Ontario, Canada, and the United States. Millions of visitors come to Niagara Falls to witness the natural beauty and power of the falls, and this time I'm one of them. The falls are beautiful, but they also provide hydroelectric power to the entire region. One of the most popular things to do at Niagara Falls is taking a boat tour to get right up close and personal with the falls. I jumped on the Made of the Mist boat tour. It takes you right up to the falls and right into the mist. It's a unique and unforgettable experience, but warning, you're gonna get wet.
I'm Daisy.
And I'm Adam.
And this is Spaghetti. He's scared.
So what do you guys think about all that?
That was fun.
It's an experience.
That was a lot.
It's like a shower without a shower. It's like nature shower, kind of.
That was really fun.
It was fun.
That was very intimate.
I was scared.
She was scared.
The sunset is just beautiful, and one other thing you need to know about visiting Niagara Falls is that right over there on the other side of the river is actually Canada. It used to be that you could just walk across this bridge or drive across this bridge and go to Canada, but now you have to have a star ID or a passport, other forms of identification. You can't just use your driver's license to get across to Canada anymore, and I'm told the views are even more beautiful and there's a lot more to do over there. So if you're like me and you don't have a star ID or a passport, you might want to take care of that before you come up here to Niagara Falls. Just a little tip from the road. When most people think of New York, they think of New York City, the big city, the Big Apple. But in my experience so far, most of New York looks about like this. Riding from Niagara Falls down to Binghamton, New York, and I found this along the way. One of my followers suggested I stop here. This is Letchworth Falls, and not nearly as big or impressive as Niagara Falls, but beautiful in its own way and absolutely a lot less crowded, and a beautiful 17-mile twisty hilly ride to get here from the state highway, which itself is a beautiful hilly road that's only 2 lanes along the whole way. If you're ever coming to Niagara Falls, it's worth your while to take a little trip down south to Letchworth Falls. Now the latest on our motorcycle makeover build, the King. All right, I'm on the road here in Pelham, Alabama. It's kind of a cool story. Bad Boy Toys is here working on my bike that we're calling the King. I just out of the blue got an invitation to play a biker in a Morgan Freeman movie in Birmingham, and I had to come up through here anyway, so I stopped by to check in on my bike, and yeah, it looks like a giant freaking mess right now, doesn't it? But believe me, this thing is going to be amazing in a couple of weeks. This is a 2003 Road King Police Edition that I found rotting away in Tallahassee, Florida. And last year in Panama City Beach, Florida, I ran into the guys from Bad Boy Toys. I shot some short little reels of their awesome bikes that they did, a veteran bike, a Grateful Dead bike. I'm a giant deadhead. I didn't really expect anything out of it, and all of a sudden those videos blew up and got millions of views. And they called me and said, "Hey Chris, we want to build a bike for you." And I said, "Guess what? I just found this piece of junk in Tallahassee, Florida that's got great bones and really low miles, but is really beat up." So they decided to take this bike, this is 2003 Road King, as I said, and turn it into something you've never seen before. I'm not exaggerating when I say they're doing some stuff to this bike that you have never seen before. It's going to be incredible. This stripped down bike with rust and junky tires that are dangerous is going to be a one-of-a-kind custom bike, and hopefully we'll be able to reveal it at Panama City Beach at Thunder Beach's spring rally. Now you may be watching this after that, but if not, come and see us at Panama City Beach. Follow my Facebook page and I'll let you know where we're going to be exactly. This bike We're going to have a couple of touches that give homage to its police heritage. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to hit Biker Dad. And if you follow me, you know Elvis is a big part of all of my bikes. So we're going to have a little Elvis theme to this too. That's why it's the King. Stay tuned. We'll keep you updated on the King project here from Pelham, Alabama. They're going to be sending me videos because it's a few hours away from my house. But I can't wait to see this thing. Biker Dad is brought to you by UpstateBikerLawyer.com and Tom Schimmerling, founding member of the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Hi there, guys. We're on the road in Binghamton, New York. I'm here with Tom Schimmerling from UpstateBikerLawyer.com, who's our sponsor who brings us here on WBNG every Sunday morning.
I am a founding member of the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers, and it's really been great putting on safety classes. That's one thing we're really big on. You know, with accident scene management classes, we've sponsored almost 24 of them now all over New York State, from Rochester to down Westchester County up towards Lake Ontario and all parts in between. And that's been one of the things that I've really enjoyed doing, is supporting these accident scene management classes.
So tell me a little bit more about accident scene management. What happens in those classes?
Well, basically, it's to teach you, if you're riding and you see another rider's down, the rider's injured, it like teaches you what to do until the first responders, the actual trained first responders, the ambulance, before they get there. And that could be a significant amount of time. And it's not some like 20-minute, hour-long course. So this is an 8-hour class. You know, it goes from like 9 to 5, and you spend 8 solid hours learning about different types of injuries and what to do, take off the helmet, don't take off the helmet. We've had such support. We filled the classes, you know, 20, 25 people in each class. You know, people keep asking at different groups, will you do a class for us here, do a class for us there? Well, there's a group, a national group, it's called the Road Guardians. And they're the ones that actually put on the classes. They have trained instructors, very well trained instructors, and I also sponsored another person to learn how to be an instructor. Awesome. And they hold these classes all over the country, basically, but we started in upstate New York. They were not doing them in upstate New York.
And this is exactly why Biker Dad teams up with UpstateBikerLawyer.com. They actually care about keeping us safe on the roads and preventing accidents. Their most recent class was in Plattsburgh at Lake City Choppers. Riders from the Jester's Court Riding Club and Clearwater Crusaders for Christ all got the life-saving training thanks to UpstateBikerLawyer.com and Road Guardians. Now here's the Biker Dad Bike of the Week. Bike of the Week. Bike of the Week. Bike of the Week. Our bike of the week isn't a bike actually at all. It's a trike because it has 3 wheels on. It's a very special trike though. This is the new Road Glide 3, not because it's part 3, but because it has 3 wheels. What's interesting about this bike is that people have been doing this aftermarket for years, putting a Road Glide fairing on a trike, but now you can get it straight from the factory this way, which has a couple of advantages. First off, it's factory built, and you know it's going to be great condition, reliable, and work great with the bike. And actually, it's even cheaper than doing it for yourself. It's a beautiful bike. This one is blue, my favorite color, but we're going to take it for a ride and see how it rides. And there are a couple things about trikes, in case you've never ridden one, that might surprise you at first. One is you're going to want to lean. If you ride a 2-wheel bike all the time, you don't lean on these things, you actually steer it instead of lean. And the other thing is, you don't put your feet down. I guarantee I'm gonna forget both of those things at first. One thing I have to keep reminding myself about the new 2023 models, even though they have floorboards, They have no heel toe shifter, just the toe, and that throws me off at first, but it's easy to get used to. Like all touring special models, it comes with a nice big touchscreen display for your radio, Bluetooth, GPS, and everything else. On the Road Glide though, it's attached to this fixed fairing instead of the fairing attached to the forks on the other bikes. The Shark fairing is what really sets this thing off, but it's also based on the Freewheeler platform, so it's a performance-driven trike, which means it's got that 114 Milwaukee 8 engine with about 86 horsepower, and this thing grips to the road around curves even though it's a big trike. Unlike the Tri-Glide, it does not have a tour pack, but it does have a pretty big trunk to store all your stuff in. Nice big trunk in there. You can also put a tour pack on there, but there's plenty of room right in there. Comes in several colors, but this is by far my favorite, the bright billiard blue. On this sunny day with some clouds in the sky, it was hard to tell the difference between the bike and the blue skies above. Just beautiful. But you're looking right in up at the sky when you're actually looking at the bike. The sky's up there. Our Back on Two stories are brought to you by UpstateBikerLawyer.com and Tom Schimmerling, founding member of the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers.
I'm Antonia Armenta. I ride on Instagram as Even Star Motovangelist. I'm an Eagle Medicine Woman of my tribe, and I ride currently for missing, murdered, and Indigenous women, and to also just inspire other women to get out and ride motorcycles. I've been on I'm 26 days on the road today from Sheridan, Wyoming, the hometown of Go Fast Don't Die and our good friends, headed for New Orleans for Thanksgiving. And I had a lady not see me in her blind spot, clip me, and run a red light. I've ridden 4,600 miles this trip, so yeah, long ways away from home.
And so to have that happen, and then it's what happened immediately after that tells a lot about bikers in our community. So what
Absolutely.
happened?
The gentleman who was closest behind me in traffic was a fellow rider. He watched the whole thing happen. He immediately used his pickup to block traffic, ran to help me, make sure that I was okay, picked the bike up. He was most concerned. He said, "Sweetheart," he said, "your bike just rolled over." He said, "You rolled about 3 times and popped up like a mad little grasshopper." He's like, "Sit down, are you okay?" And he said, "My wife and my sister are out riding today. I, always worry about them and people." He said, "And I just watched my worst moto nightmare happen right in front of me to a woman." He said, "And I'm just glad you're okay, but really helped me out. Followed me here all the way to Mobile Bay, made sure that my foot peg was turned and wanted to make sure that I was safe." And so he escorted me right here to the dealership, and here we are.
Awesome. Well, good story about how bikers help bikers no matter where we are in the country. So guys, just keep that in mind when you're out there in your cages. That's what we call cars, and you're seeing somebody on a motorcycle. It's somebody like our friend right here. So
please, it's real people, you guys. That's a life rolling out there, and I'm just really grateful to be here and be okay. Please check your blind spots.
This is
Biker Dad, brought to you by the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers.
Upstate Biker Lawyer Tom Schimmerling cares about the people and communities he serves, so he reminds you to be mindful on the roads this summer. Whether you travel on 4 wheels or 2 wheels, look twice, save a life. If you are involved in an accident, call Upstate Biker Lawyer Tom Schimmerling. You pay nothing unless he wins your case. With over 35 years of handling personal injury cases related to motorcycle accidents, Tom knows and he can help you. Go to upstatebikerlawyer.com and call today.
My name is Chris Best, and I left my 25-year career to ride motorcycles and tell stories. And now I'd like to invite you to come along for the ride. You can watch my new show, Biker Dad TV, right here every week. Sundays at 11:30 a.m. on WBNG. Brought to you by UpstateBikerLawyer.com. In New York, Biker Dad is brought to you by Upstate Biker Lawyer and Tom Shimmerly. Now, this week's Biker Dad Tech Tip. Biker Dad Tech Tip. Let's look at that. Harley Davidson Master Tech Neil is with us, and we're talking about older bikes, or at least high mileage bikes, how they run and what you guys do to make sure that they're up to snuff. Like what do we got here?
Here we have a trike with 116,000 miles. This person has followed every maintenance procedure and everything by the book. They'll be riding it again very soon. They just came in for a quick service.
So how often do you see somebody who's still riding a bike with 116,000 miles on it?
It's usually pretty big news when someone rolls a six-digit bike in here. We're all pretty proud of them, high fives and everything. Most people trade them in before they get too old, you know. Variety's the price of life.
Yeah, I heard the average is like 3 years people are trading them in. When you have a bike that's this high mileage, what should we be looking out for?
Over 100,000 miles, you want to start looking at a belt. You want to start looking at your cam tensioners. If you have any performance stuff, sometimes it's a little bit easier to go through. A lot of the normal checks that you would make just in a service. So everything's important, and there's not a lot of them.
So speaking of service, that's probably one of the keys to the survival of this bike, right?
Right. These aren't throwaway bikes. I mean, my bike turns 40 this year, and heading on down to the vintage bike show on it. All I had to do was change the oil. But yeah, certain things you just really want to watch. Age, rubber tends to get kind of old, stretches out a little bit after a while. You know, seats can go kind of sad. Of course, I mean, you know, all the safety components and stuff that you'd want to look out for, but you know, just give them a little bit more of an eye rather than just the cursory look.
So the key to it is take care of it, just like anything else. You know, you think that 100,000 miles, you're just getting started on a car. You can do the same thing with the Harley Davidson. The modern ones are reliable if you take care of them.
This baby's just getting broken in.
All right, well, that's this week's tip. Thanks, Neil. And keep on rolling on those high mileage bikes, or if you're ready to train in, come in here and see the dealership too. Hi there, guys. We're on the road in Binghamton, New York, beautiful upstate New York. If you've never been here, you got to come and see the hills and the trees and all the beautiful countryside and waterfalls. I'm here with Tom Shimmerling from UpstateBikerLawyer.com, who's our sponsor, who brings us here on WBNG every Sunday morning. Nice to meet you in person.
Nice to meet you too. You know, I felt like I knew you when I saw you at the dealership here.
That's awesome. Thank you. And you guys make sure and follow Upstate Biker Lawyer on Facebook as well. The first thing I just want to talk to everybody about is just how beautiful it is to ride here. And I know you don't ride, but you drive through the countryside. It's pretty incredible, right?
Yes, I do. It's a lovely place. You know, like all through rural areas here, and the major scenic ways, like you just went to Niagara Falls, and I get all over New York State in my work, and I try cases all over the place. I have cases everywhere from Long Island to Buffalo to Albany, up towards the Finger Lakes and Lake Ontario. But particularly in this area, if you get down to the hidden little areas of Delaware County, New York, and Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania, these little back roads, I mean, it's just awesome. It's just the most amazing thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, most people think of New York as like Manhattan, Long Island, all those places, but most of New York, I'm guessing, is more like this.
That's true. That's really true. Yeah, a very, very small part of New York is New York City. I mean, it has a lot of people, but in terms of area, it's not very big.
Well, we're going to be riding around upstate New York a lot and getting a lot of video of these places that we're talking about. In New York, Biker Dad is brought to you by Upstate Biker Lawyer and Tom Shimmerly. Hi, this is Chris Betts, the Biker Dad. I've never been in a major motorcycle accident, but I know if I do, Tom Shimmerly and UpstateBikerLawyer.com have got my back. Warning, some may find the video in this next story disturbing and graphic. A terrifying example of the deadliest plague facing bikers in America: lethal left turns. Thankfully, the Florida biker who caught this on camera survived the crash, but many do not. In fact, the most common motorcycle accident happens when a car makes a left turn in front of the bike. And it's the single most dangerous situation for bikers, accounting for nearly half of all motorcycles and the #1 cause of motorcycle crash deaths. This particular crash happened recently in Fort Pierce, Florida. 43-year-old biker Will Dover survived the crash but was badly injured. Dover was on his way to work when the crash happened, and not only does the car appear to turn and take off, it turns out the driver had no license in the first place. Dover thanks his helmet and the rest of his gear for saving his life, but he has a long road to recovery and cannot work, and is asking people to help on his GoFundMe account.
I've had so much support from total strangers, and I want to thank y'all for that. That's from the bottom of my heart right there. Total strangers.
In Dover's case, he pretty much had no time to react. But there are a few ways that you can avoid this kind of crash. A couple ways to tell if somebody is about to make a left turn in front of you. A car waiting at an intersection to turn, it's a good time to slow down and really pay attention. If you see a gap in traffic in front of you while somebody is waiting to go, there may be a car that's about to turn as well. And sometimes you can tell the body language of the driver when they do that last second look both ways head maneuver. They might be about to dart out in front of you. Slowing down and changing lane position to give you more time to react is probably the best way to do that. Even if you can't see a car waiting to turn, you should assume that a reasonable gap in front of you will invite another driver to pull out. We always ask people to look twice for motorcycles, but the reality is they are not. Studies show that drivers aren't looking for motorcycles, and that they in fact can be hard to see, which causes a danger for all of us. That's it for this week's episode of the Biker Dad TV show, coming at you from Niagara Falls on the border between the United States and Canada. Now it's time to ride back home, all the way back to Alabama. Stay tuned for our adventures and where it takes us next time. Until then, please look twice for motorcycles.